Right folks, so welcome back to another video. We're working on a 335 today. You're going to do like an exterior and interior transformation, change a few of the bumpers, operate the infotainment system and just generally freshen the car up. As you know, it is SE spec, but it currently doesn't look like it because you're kind of getting a sneak peek already because I'm filming this intro afterwards. But yeah, I'll show you all the parts I've got and we'll make a start. Now the plan is to get this lifted up on the quick jacks to make life a bit easier, but the first thing we're going to do is fit these new side skirts. Now if you're wondering what these are, they are E92 M3 style side skirts, so they're not a genuine part. I've been told that the M3 side skirts do need a bit of modification to fit. These shouldn't do because they've been designed specifically for this car. But yeah, underneath the sill plate, you're going to have these rivets, and then along the bottom of the side skirt, it might make it easier if I show you on this one, you're going to have Torx screws, so there's a number of them. And towards the end there's going to be two screws just like the under tray screws. Okay, so I've got all the rivets taken off. I didn't put the Torx screws back in when I test fitted the other side skirt, so this has literally just been clipped in because I haven't really been driving much. So okay, that's not what I wanted to happen, but it's happened now. Here's a good look at the OEM one versus this M3 style one. It's totally different down here. Should make the car look a lot more purposeful. There are these yellow clips that you want to swap over to allow you to clip into those green slots over there. Just look at how it is on the original one and just match it exactly the same onto the new one. Right, so I've got the side skirt on. Quite happy with the paint match considering the rest of the car is dirty, so that's all sound. The fitment is okay. I won't say it's perfect. Around here it's pretty decent. You can't really tell that it's aftermarket, but if you look here, it's actually slightly short. Ultimately, I'm not too fussed because it does make the car look a lot more aggressive on the side profile, but that seems to be at a totally different angle. So for that to bend there, maybe the Torx screw will pull it in. It won't fix that short gap though. Now the next thing we're going to be changing is this rear bumper. It's full SE spec. I can't lie, with the VRSF exhaust it does fit quite well, but yeah, we're going to be installing this thing. So this is a genuine E92 M Sport rear bumper. Now the only kind of issue is that it's off a 320D, so the diffuser has the exhaust outlets on the left side, not like a dual arrangement like the 335. But luckily you can just swap out the plastic bit and it should all go on fine. It's also pretty ironic that it's got quite a big scratch on this side, pretty much the same as what's currently on the car if you have a look around here. So nice bit of continuity there. So as with most bumper removals, got to take off these tail lights. Now I know what you're thinking, perfect time to put in some LCI tail lights. Don't fancy spending another £400, I'd rather focus on the other stuff for now. Nice helicopter, mate. I was trying to get the bumper off for ages, but I realised there's a little plastic tab here covering a T25 on each side. Okay, finally. Gotta remember to take out these parking sensor clips. Not gonna lie, that looks pretty serious like that with the VRSF back box. I don't think there's any people running rear bumper deletes on a 335i, so I won't go there. But it does look pretty cool. There we go. And here's what we're going to be fitting. So I got this off eBay. It's not genuine, but it's like a copy of the OEM one. Obviously, this is where you can get really creative if you want to put a fancy diffuser on. But me personally, I'm happy with this OEM kind of look. I'm going to mount this on the car first and then clip it in because I think this needs to be flexed a bit because it's been in storage. Right, so that's gone on with no issue. So in theory, this diffuser should be fine now as well because it's not going to flex about. Not bad. Right, so this is the spoiler I've gone for. It's an M Performance style one. It's in carbon as well, of course. I got it from the guys at Carbon Accent, so big shout out to them. I'll put the link to this in the description. Very quick delivery. Should be a nice, easy install. I've already gone ahead and put the 3M tape underneath it. A little trick when you're doing this, which I should have taken my own advice because I've got two lines and only one of them I've done this with. Don't fully take the tape off. Leave it like this so you can position it. And then I'll show you how you do it anyway. And there we have it, spoiler fitted. See, all this means now is we're going to move to the front of the car. Now this is what I'm going to be fitting. It's a replica of the OEM aero lip you can get for the E92. It only fits on the SE bumper, but personally I think it looks a lot better than the M Sport one. I can sort of place it on the car right now just to show you how it will sit. Gives you a little preview there. Obviously it will look a lot better once it's secured onto the car properly, but I'll get the bumper removed, but by then it'll be dark anyway, so I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. I thought we'd do this all on the table. You could put the splitter on the car and sort of line it up that way, but I wanted to change a few things like the grills, so for the sake of a few 8mm screws on the arch liners and the top Torx bits, you'd rather take the bumper off. Now you will notice these grills down here are in this kind of faded grey colour. I am considering to spray them black. Top clips are a bit fiddly. And here we have the new black ones I'm going to be fitting. I didn't go for any F-Series style double slats and all of that stuff. I just wanted something that's nice and classy and doesn't try to make the car look newer than it actually is, because in my opinion it never works anyway. Rather keep it period correct. It's crazy how a set of fresh grills make the whole bumper look a lot better, even though it isn't in the best of conditions. In terms of these grills, what I'm going to do is get rid of the center one entirely and keep the outer ones and paint them black. Now hear me out, the reason why I'm doing that is because I've got this lovely big CSF intercooler at the front, and I have seen some pictures of cars with it exposed at the front, and I think it looked pretty cool. And yeah, it'll save me one less thing to paint. Now the aero lip, as I showed you before, essentially just follows the factory lines and it sticks on there. There are sort of allocated holes which you need to drill in for this particular one that I've got, and it's all in the OEM places. So if you look there, there's a little place for me to drill, and that's the hole it's going to go into. Right, so before we fit the aero lip on properly, we'll get these things spray painted. I thought I had a ton of it in my shed, but I went there and there was none to be found, so I had to go quickly to Halford. So I've lost about 45 minutes of the day. I'm going to go for this matte black spray paint. There was only one can available. I have got a satin one which they did have as well, but we'll give this a go. I am no professional painter, but I have cleaned it, so don't worry. Either way, it looked better than before, I'm sure. Right, so we'll leave these to dry. They already look like they're turning matte, so that's a good sign. I will let you know if they need another coat. I'll get these fitted back onto the bumper along with the aero lip, and then all of that will go back onto the car, and the next clip I'll show you how it all looks. And there we have it, fitted the bumper back on, all nicely done. I had to take these headlight washer covers off because I broke the spring. So yeah, you do one thing and you break another thing in the process. It's the usual situation. But one thing I did realize was fitting the aero lip on, you need to have the under tray on, because it has the sort of screw holes for it to locate into. Because I was kind of confused, thinking, why isn't the aero lip securing properly? Do I really want to drill into the original bumper? But once you've got the under tray on, it all makes sense. And the next thing I want to do is move on to the interior. There are a few things that you guys have been mentioning in the comments I want to address. Right, so as you know, if you've watched every video in this series, this car, when we got it from auction, it came with these very interesting looking headrests. And a few people in the last videos have been saying, why have I got them on back to front? I haven't, because they've got TVs in the back, so they're aftermarket ones. I'm not actually checked if they work, but there you have it. Old school kind of vibe there. This one's completely broken out of place, and that one seems to be okay, but it still looks like it's on back to front. So I've gone ahead and bought an OEM headrest. This is for the M Sport or Sport seat. Now this, even though it's an SC, all 335i's come with these seats apparently. I didn't know that until I bought it, but it is a pretty cool touch. The headrest just fell off. Got these wires sticking out of here because obviously something was connected up to that screen. Yeah, I'll let you guess what I just did. And there we have it, as it should be. Okay, so now that we got that big task sorted, we can move on to the next part of the interior that I want to address. Now, as well as having quite funky headrests, this thing also had a non-functioning iDrive when I bought it. So as you will remember, it was a completely dead screen, nothing ever worked on it. And I believe the previous owner actually sold the car because it didn't work. It came with a spare screen in the footwell, and I feel like they just gave up. Now, of course, I wasn't going to give up. I did want to get to the bottom of things. So as you can see, the iDrive unit has been taken out. That is just a screen, but the main head unit is located here. What I did was sent it off to get repaired, and I have the repaired module over there. Now we are going to check if this thing works in a second, but in addition to that, I'm not just going to stick with the old CCC iDrive. We're going to be upgrading it to an Android unit. So this is from the guys at Motive Supplies. I'm going to put a link to their website down below, and their Instagram should be on the screen now anyway. So this is going to be a nice touch. A lot of you folks have been saying put an Android unit in, so I'm quite looking forward to doing this. But as you can see, we've literally got what looks like hundreds of wires here that I need to put in. So I'm not going to do a full, step-by-step DIY on it, because it's probably going to take me a while to get my head around it, and I've already got, a bit of PTSD from doing the head unit upgrade on that a few weeks ago on the Mark 7. So yeah, let's try this first, and then we'll move on to this. Now, I know the question's on your mind. Why am I worried about this working if I'm going to be upgrading it all to an Android system? Well, you actually need the CCC unit to be working correctly for the Android system to function correctly as well. The sound goes through this apparently, so yeah, this needs to be addressed regardless. It was quite pricey. It cost me about £300 to get this sorted. You would have thought this stuff would have come down by now, but Apparently the iDrive repair game is quite costly these days. Okay, so the moment of truth, will the iDrive work? It's quite an exciting moment. Ignition on. There we go. Throwback to 2006. Lovely stuff. Okay, now that that's sorted, let's get this unplugged and move on to the Android system. Push this out, which is a good sign because I can't access them wires. Well, now I can. Right, let's get the screen out as well. It's a T10. The other one's already out because they just fell out once I was driving once. So this is how the iDrive screen comes out. Pretty straightforward. Made by Alpine. Interesting. The cars without this dash, you can get an Android unit that fits below the vents down here. But in terms of a look at the Android unit, behind here you've got one connection in the middle, which I'm assuming is the main power one. Got another one here, which I'm also assuming is a display connection. And a blue connector here, which is probably going to be the GPS antenna. But yeah, it all looks nice and flush. What I'll do now is try and get to grips with all of this, and I shall update you shortly. Right, the screen should hopefully balance there. We can plug the start button back in. So let's have a look. There we have it, Motive Supplies booting. Fair play, that is a crisp screen. Right, so I just realized I left this connection off. That's why you were hearing static noises just then, but I just heard a bit of sound. We'll turn it up. I don't want to get copyrighted. We've got sound. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking, why are you so excited that you've got working sound in a car? It's just one of those things. You know, when you buy a car that's got so many various little issues and yeah, you just resolve it and you also improve it. It's hard to beat the satisfaction, I'm not going to lie. I'll get it all tidied up now so at least it looks presentable. And then, yeah, we'll go through the system and see what else is on there. And there we have it, folks. The Android screen's been installed properly as it should be rather than hanging out down here. I do want to give you some tips though in regards to the wiring. Now, because it goes to the back of the head unit and it needs to come to the back of the screen up there, you are going to have to route it through the glove box area. So it's going to involve removing these cup holders and the glove box itself. There is about 6 T20s, and with these cup holders, there's 2 Phillips screws each. Pry this trim off and then you'll be able to figure it out. It requires a bit of patience, I'll be honest, but once it's done, it's in and you can forget about it. I have got this pretty cool display up here that shows me my RPM and speedo. It literally functions like an Android phone or tablet. So I'll go back here. Oh, you can even change the colors. I've just seen that now. Let's put it on cyan there. Pretty cool. If I turn the car on, you can see the RPMs in full flow. Now, if you head back to home here, we've got all these different displays. These are all part of this kind of app, you could say, that's designed for the car, so you're not just pressing on tiny little icons. It's got nav, it's got all these settings, and there's the apps display as well. So when you press on apps, it basically switches to like an Android phone. If you go into settings here, look, you can connect to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and presuming use a hotspot as well. You can get apps as well, so I am looking forward to running MHD on the screen there. I think it's safe to say that that Android screen is definitely the best mod I've done in today's video. It's totally modernized the car and added all sorts of extra tech that I never would have in a normal kind of infotainment system in a car. So yeah, definitely very cool. I'm going to be looking forward to doing some MHD logging on that. But yeah, before we do like a little montage to wrap up the video, there is one last little mod that I want to do. Now, one of the strange things we noticed when this car arrived from auction was the fact that it essentially got 2 BMW badges stacked on top of each other. Very strange. And it was also amplified by the fact that there was this genuine badge in the pack that the previous owner gave us. So no idea what's going on there. Thought to just get my pry tool out. And yeah, it's stuck on. So I don't know what's going on here because there's no BMW logo beneath it. So either this is one badge that's too thick or the previous owner tried to stick this on top of an existing one. Either way, we're going to pry this off now as well. Okay, looks like it's coming off. Yeah, I'm all about the attention to detail, lads. There we go. So that's how a BMW badge should be, not a foot above the bonnet. Right, enjoy this little cinematic and then we'll wrap up the video. Yeah, definitely pleased with the way this thing's turned out. All I need to do is sort out these washer jets and the front's going to be completely sorted. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you drop a like on it. Also subscribe for a lot more stuff to come. Let me know in the comments down below what else you want to see. And yeah, I'll see you in a few days' time for the next video.